Welcome back, everyone. Talking about the crisis in Syria this week, and Amar Allo from the Syrian Media Group here in Toledo has been kind enough to join us. And Amar, nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You've been on a couple of our newscasts and sound bites, but we felt that this would be a good time to bring you in for a free-flowing conversation and kind of break down where we got to this point with the crisis in Syria post-Arab Spring now, a couple of years removed. You were born in the United States, but have ties to Syria. Tell us about yourself and how you came to develop the Syrian Media Group.
Well, my parents immigrated from Syria in the 70s, obviously before I was even born. And I was born in '82, and they've been here ever since. The way I kind of developed the Syrian Media Group is because the ongoing situation in Syria has just kind of been on the back burner. Even with the president and with the Obama administration, nobody's really been paying that much attention to it. So last year sometime, I and a couple of friends put together the Syrian Media Group. It's just a Facebook page, really, to send out information to local media outlets about what's going on in Syria.
Try to be informative, to inform the public, perhaps in the media that can't be so close to what is happening in there. Even though we do have our bureau in Washington. But when you've observed the events of the past week, the president's speech, John Kerry goes to Switzerland, the negotiations, the criticism, a lot of criticism from people within both parties on how this has been handled. What's your take as you watch this from afar now, a couple of thousand miles away from Syria? Well,
I think what we're doing is we're sending bad signals from an American perspective to the Assad government in Syria and to his allies. The signal is we're not really serious. You know, you've killed over 100,000 people. We've said a little bit, but then you decided to use the chemical weapons, and we all got in a big, you know, everybody got worked up. Everybody wanted to do something.
We've all seen the video, tragic as it is, the children and
just a horrible what happened.
The sarin gas.
Yeah, the sarin gas. But we sent them this message: we're coming in and we're gonna do something. We're gonna do a big military strike.
The red line has been crossed.
The red line has been crossed, and then we get this. Now,
But what's wrong with taking a step back, taking a look at this situation? Where are our allies in this, and trying to assess what we need to do? We are war weary. Senator Brown, I think you said that when I talked to you out here.
We are war weary. I mean, nobody wants to see another Middle Eastern war. I mean, the Syrian people themselves had to make this decision. You know, when they first started protesting in March 2011, for the first 6 months to a year, they were peaceful. But they were then faced with a decision. Do we continue to protest and get shot at? Do we continue to protest and get butchered and killed? Or do we start defending ourselves and we start picking up arms? So at some point in late 2011, many military figures defected, and they then started to defend the protesters. And as they started to defend, the regime got more brutal, and we are here today.
Yeah, well, this regime has been going on for decades. This is a family that has ruled with an iron fist, correct?
Yes. Syria to them is an inheritance.
The Assads.
The Assads. The dad controlled it, and then his son inherited it. It's like a playing field for them. They believe they own Syria and its people.
So, but you and perhaps the people that you stand for or represent, do you want to strike? You don't want to strike, or do you just want support? You want arms? What is it that the Syrian people want?
Well, for the last 2.5 years, the Syrian people have been calling out for help.
Help meaning what?
Well, we'll get to that. We're calling out for help. First, they were calling out for, you know, just let somebody do a UN resolution against the Syrian government. Every time it came up in the UN, you had Russia and China blocking it. So that's number one. So when that failed, they wanted somebody to come in and help protect the civilians. They wanted no-fly zones, maybe. They wanted arms, help us defend ourselves. The Syrian people said, we'll create the no-fly zone. Just give us the anti-plane capability and the anti-tank capability so we can protect and make safe zones in Syria for these civilians that are just getting butchered every single day. Now I think it's gotten to a point where it seems that there's no solution besides a military intervention by some greater powers, because the Syrian people, they're not getting armed by the United States, and they're not getting any support in the international community. So short of a military intervention, something like Libya, they're just going to keep getting butchered every single day.
The president used, he said, we don't do pinpricks.
No, we don't do pinpricks.
So can it be a limited strike? I mean, how prolonged would it be? I mean, you know the country much better than we do. I mean, does it become another quagmire? And that's the fear.
Well, I'm no military expert.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But in my belief, if Assad's capability to launch airstrikes and to launch Scud missiles is taken away from him, that will help greatly the Syrian people and the opposition forces fighting against him.
Do you believe that negotiations with Russia, the United States, Syria, over chemical weapons, that those chemical weapons will eventually, the stockpile will be overturned?
I have very little faith in the Syrian regime and the Russians, who still deny that a chemical weapon occurred, a chemical attack occurred.
Right.
And the Syrian regime, the day before they agreed to sign this chemical weapon treaty, denied having chemical weapons at all. So they have very low credibility with us, and I think with the whole entire world. You really can't believe what they say. And I believe, in my honest opinion, this is just a delay tactic, just delaying the inevitable, which is eventually somebody's going to have to go in and take out Assad's capabilities.
And as we speak Friday afternoon, as we tape this program, it does not sound as anything concrete has come out of Switzerland.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
They've agreed.
Things could have changed by the time this program airs on Sunday morning.
That's true, but from what I've gathered is they've agreed to talk again in 2 weeks. But we've only gotten to this point where the Assad regime is willing to even talk, even willing to admit they have chemical weapons, is because of the military threat. When things got serious, they got scared.
Yeah. Or Assad will say it's not because of the threat, it's because Vladimir Putin has come in and saved the day.
Well, but Vladimir,
once again, it's Putin and Assad, and who do you?
Yeah, but Vladimir has been doing this. He's been defending Assad for the last 2.5 years. He's been giving him weapons and support. So it's because of the threat of military action that we've gotten to this point.
All right. We look forward to talking to you down the road, hopefully in better times, and there will be resolutions. Amar Allo of the Syrian Media Group.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it
for coming in. When we come back, we'll bring it back to the city of Toledo, talk about the race for council and the race for mayor as we race to November. Back in just a minute.